Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 dark truths about old Hollywood.
This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
For this list, we're looking at the most surprising, disturbing, and/or controversial things about the industry's so-called golden age. Did any of these stories surprise you? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. The pressures of beauty. Hollywood is, among many other things, artifice, yet we often worship old-school Tinseltown idols for the perceived standards of beauty espoused by their films. However, appearing that glamorous came at a price.
Now get me out of these weeds. I'm beginning to feel sad, and I shouldn't feel sad. It's so depressing.
Icons such as Marlene Dietrich, Joan Crawford, and Judy Garland were all pressured to look a certain way. For instance, Dietrich reportedly lost weight and dramatically altered her look in a bid to meet often unattainable ideals. Crawford, for her part, allegedly had her back teeth removed, which in turn raised her cheekbones.
It's also led to bone loss. There's barely anything holding your remaining teeth in place.
Well, you know what they say about stars. They're like Christmas trees. Once the lights are off, you sit there and watch the needles drop.
Her autobiography also touches upon intense beauty practices, one of which involves using boric acid on your eyelids.
Why are you doing this to me? Why? Doing what? Making me afraid to eat? Trying to make me starve myself?
Number 9. Contract pressure.
Part of that choice is mine, Miss Lamont. And I just won't do it.
You got a 5-year contract, honey. You do what RF says.
Outside appearances weren't the only cause of pressure for old Hollywood stars. Nowadays, actors have a decent amount of freedom and can often sign on to any picture, regardless of which studio is at the helm. However, the system used to be quite different.
Look, sweetie, be practical. I've got a good deal here. A long-term contract with no options. I like it that way.
Back in the day, performers were signed to hefty contracts, some of which had rather lengthy terms. As a result, they typically had to take jobs given to them, regardless of whether they wanted to or not. Turning one down was intensely frowned upon and could be punished via things like suspensions. In other words, film studios wielded what's considered an unreasonable amount of power. Many careers, including silent film star John Gilbert's, suffered as a result.
Why did you go out of your way to make me ridiculous? All that idiotic talk of love and beauty that made my heart beat, made me dream like a fool and talk like one.
Number 8. Spying. These days, celebrities are often forced to fight for their right to privacy. Old Hollywood actors didn't have it easy either, but it was often due to the studio's desire for control over their personal lives.
You shouldn't believe all that banana oil that Dora Bailey and the columnists dish out. Now try to get this straight. There is nothing between us. There has never been anything between us. Just air.
It apparently wasn't uncommon for private spaces to be bugged or for studio employees to act as publicists and friends to the stars while going behind their backs. For instance, Judy Garland was allegedly deceived by such a confidant.
I don't want any of your homemade remedies. I know what you're trying to do, and the best thing you can do for me is to just leave me alone.
Sammy Davis Jr., meanwhile, also had to deal with a sort of spy game. His romance with screen icon Kim Novak was strictly forbidden. So intent was Columbia head Harry Cohn on nixing the love affair that he reportedly had organized crime associates threaten to harm Davis Jr.
Yeah, you were always one of those guys who didn't want any brave ones on patrol with you, weren't you?
That's simple enough. In my book, bravery rhymed with stupid, and it still does.
Number 7. Thomas Edison's monopoly.
I'm working on something now, something so new that people will forget my name was ever associated with electricity.
Hollywood as we know it today might look very different were it not for Thomas Edison. Indeed, the inventor was responsible for developing the first film studio in the late 1800s, named the Black Maria. He also invented and patented lots of movie-making equipment, like the motion picture camera.
The first motion picture entertainment device was a genius contraption that allowed you to see a loop of film, a very short loop.
Importantly, this all took place in New Jersey and New York, where he eventually assisted in establishing the Motion Picture Patents Company. With that, he got himself a monopoly. In a bid to get away from it, his intimidation tactics, and his infamous litigiousness, numerous filmmakers reportedly moved out to California. Edison's monopoly essentially ended after the United States versus the Motion Picture Patents Company court case in 1915, though LA remains the industry's home base. Number 6. Child labor.
He won't mind your going on a little trip with me.
Where?
Just to Frankfurt. You can come back whenever you like.
I don't want to go to Frankfurt.
You will do as I say.
It can be difficult to reconcile the affection we feel for adorable young actors with Hollywood's historically horrible child labor record.
The city thrives on child labor. A lot of people make money that way.
The Addams Family actor Jackie Coogan was notoriously robbed of his earnings by his parents, leading to the California Child Actors Bill of 1939. Elsewhere, directors and others reportedly went to cruel lengths getting young performers to cry on camera. Many even resorted to punishment when someone was perceived to be wasting time. The black box, a cramped space with only a block of ice as a seat, was one example of this. Finally, it wasn't unheard of for productions to make youth work insanely long hours, something that's unthinkable today.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
Number 5. Award show racism. The lack of diverse representation at Hollywood award shows is an issue that remains today. And while there's a lot that still needs to be done, the industry has come a long way.
Miss Melly, this year's done broke her heart. But I didn't fetch you here on Miss Scarlett's account. What that child got to stand.
In 1940, Hattie McDaniel became the first black person to be awarded an Oscar, which marked a historic moment. Yet before the ceremony, there was a real worry that the actress wouldn't be allowed to attend. In the end, she was cruelly seated separately from Vivien Leigh and the rest of her Gone with the Wind co-stars.
Well, I don't think it's fitting, but it ain't fitting, it just ain't fitting.
McDaniel showed great courage amid the racism and prejudice she faced, and gave a deeply stirring speech when she was named Best Supporting Actress. But the journey for her and many others was very difficult.
You don't like me, Mammy. Now, don't you argue with me. You don't. You really don't.
Number 4. Pre-code Hollywood. The enforcement of morality can be a slippery slope, and it's easy to fall backwards with regards to cultural sensitivity and representation.
Welcome to the asshole of Los Angeles.
Pre-code Hollywood refers to a time between the mid-late 20s until 1934, before films faced the strict enforcement of morality policies outlined in the Hays Code. These policies were put in place in part to clean up Hollywood's perceived reputation as an immoral Babylon. As a result, filmmakers were required to skirt around issues of intimacy and substance use via innuendo. This could notably be seen in the film noir movement of the 40s and 50s.
What'd you do that for?
Been wondering whether I'd like it.
What's the decision?
I don't know yet.
However, pre-code films were often rife with anti-heroes, strong female leads, and plenty of romantic liaisons. Film lovers just need to seek them out.
Listen, little boy. In this business, there's only one law you gotta follow to keep out of trouble. Do it first, do it yourself, and keep on doing it.
Number 3. Incentivized substance use. We've discussed how poorly child actors were often treated within the old-school Hollywood system. Unfortunately, emotional manipulation and long workdays were not the only hurdles they faced.
What's happening? What is it? I can't run anymore. I'm so sleepy.
Here, give us your hands and we'll pull you along.
Studios reportedly often incentivized substance use among their most popular young stars, such as Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney. The idea was apparently that time is money, so studios would dole out uppers to make hours upon hours of work possible, and downers and/or sedatives when the time came to sleep.
Oh, lady, would you? Oh, tell me, could you use me?
Time is also precious, however, and too little of it was spent considering the dependencies these vulnerable actors would develop as they grew up, and the often tragic consequences.
You have to have ambitions, right?
Well, I used to have them. I found they gave me the most terrible headache.
Number 2. Morality clauses. The 2016 Coen Brothers movie Hail Caesar does a great job at satirizing the backdoor dealings of Hollywood's golden age. Specifically, it expertly separates the artifice we mentioned earlier with the very real behind-the-scenes drama.
Now you listen to me, Buster. Nick Skank and the studio have been good to you and to everyone else who works here. If I ever hear you bad-mouthing Mr. Skank again, it'll be the last thing you say before I have you tossed in jail for colluding in your own abduction.
Studios would often sign their actors to morality clauses that intensely governed their public personas. Hollywood and the press reportedly collaborated often on star stories, while fixers like Eddie Mannix would try to put the kibosh on certain scandals.
Marriage doesn't have to last forever, but Deanna, having a child without a father would present a public relations problem for the studio. The aquatic pictures do very nicely for us.
So you go and strap on a fish ass and marry Arnie Seslem.
A pregnancy like the one Scarlett Johansson's character experiences in Hail Caesar, for example, would likely have been handled with a hush-hush abortion. This was all to protect the studio's investments in the perceived quote-unquote purity of their biggest stars.
Would that it were so simple. Would that it were so simple. Would that it were so simple. Would that it were.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The casting couch.
You see that man? That's Max Fabian, the producer. Now go and do yourself some good,
Why do they always look like unhappy rabbits?
because that's what they are. Now go and make him happy.
The practice of having to exchange intimate so-called favors for career advancement doesn't solely exist within the realm of moving pictures. However, casting couch practices have been dogging the film industry since the days of old Hollywood, with seemingly never-ending stories about predatory behavior.
Isn't this scene supposed to go something like this? I'll make your test for you, and you'll be good to me, and I'll be good to you.
The phrase even shows up in a 1924 stag film of the same name. The casting couch plays this behavior up for the prurient interest, as well as for laughs. But there's absolutely nothing funny about how many actors have been victims of these exploitative tactics. The Time's Up organization has brought more attention to harassment and assault within the industry in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. But it remains an active talking point.
Just think, if you were some big shot like a casting director or something, I'd be staring into your bridge work saying, yes, Mr. Smearcase, no, Mr. Smearcase, not really, Mr. Smearcase. Oh, Mr. Smearcase, that's my knee.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.